There was a time I remember when I was in the county jail, I got into like a fight and they put you in isolation for 30 days. And then this particular isolation, they would put you in a straitjacket, basically. It's like a straitjacket where you can't move your hands or whatever. And then you're like put in this cell and the lights are just extremely bright, and there's somebody that just sits outside of the cell that like observes you 24 hours a day. You really can't cover your eyes, because your hands are bound. The person outside of the door constantly tapping on the door to make sure that you don't really get a good night's sleep. Because I was in county jail, I had developed staph infection. It was like all over my body. The medical people would come in and they would have to like pack it with stuff because there was holes. So I was dealing with that pain along with the mental torture at the same time. That was at some different level of mental torture, I would say. But then again, there's like me calling to God, like to help me, to give me strength, just help me get through it. Just those words, and then just thinking maybe he would hear me, help me get through that.
All right, Carlos, as usual, let's kick this off with a quote. There is no greater suffering than being isolated, cut off from life, and separated from the living. This is by Thich Nhat Hanh in his book, Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm. When you hear these words from Thich Nhat Hanh, what comes up for you about loneliness, both the kind we feel around others and the kind that hits in silence?
Yeah. We're not meant to be alone, like by nature. We've always been a species, I guess you could say, of people, humans that need to be around others, interact with others, grow with others, build with others, connect. So isolation is like really, really a form of suffering because you're cutting yourself off from like a natural want for something. It's like, air or water or food, the things that we need to survive and to become the best versions of ourselves and just operate. Like, and human connection is part of that. And when you're in isolation or forced to be in isolation, like some people are in situations, it's damaging to you mentally, physically, spiritually, in every single way possible. So it is suffering. But I also feel that if you can acknowledge that and be aware that you're in a state of isolation and you're suffering, you can also find ways to get through it. It doesn't mean that it's going to be conducive to you or healthy to you, but you can get through it and and come out on top, actually, like in my situation. And so, but like I said, I've seen many men that have just lost their mind in isolation, and in not even that long of a period of time. Like men that you see on the prison yard, they're normal, they're talking, they go to the isolation for like 6 months to a year, they get out, they're never the same. Like they never bounce back from that. Yeah. And these are men that I once had conversations with, and then I see them and I just see how it affected them. But they didn't have like faith and like the understanding, like I mentioned, to get through it. They don't have that belief to hold on to. So yeah, it is suffering, and but also not just the physical isolation, but there's people that walk around that are around people that are isolated mentally. To the second point of your question, and yeah, it's because you are like in this state of just like nobody sees you. You're in this way of thinking that nobody cares, that you don't matter to anybody, nobody will ever like you, that you don't like yourself. And so you force yourself mentally into isolation, which could be just as dangerous. Right. And then that's when you have these people that come out of that and they go and they kill people, and they shoot up schools, or they assassinate a person because they didn't put themselves in this mental isolation that think like, and they start to like hate themselves and others. And the only way that they can release that is by harming others, right, or harming themselves. So, yeah, it's a powerful quote and certainly something I've thought a lot about.
Well, let's delve a little bit deeper into isolation. You, I know, have been personally through 3 years of solitary confinement, which is the extreme version of loneliness and isolation. How did that experience reshape your understanding of what it means to be connected or disconnected from people?
Yeah. Um, I've always been the type of person that is kind of likes to be alone anyway, and I think that probably helped me get through isolation a lot. And actually, I mentioned it to you before. That, like, sometimes when you're in prison and you're just like you're in this perpetual state of violence. And there's always something. You always got to be aware. You're always hyper vigilant. There's fights, there's killings and stuff all the time. You actually want to sometimes be in isolation.
Yeah.
You start saying, "Man, I can't wait till we go on another lockdown. I can't wait till something happens and I go in the hole for a few months to get away." And it was crazy. We used to call it vacation,
Yeah.
like I'm going on vacation, because there your door's shut and you're never coming out. So, but you also don't have to worry about people that you're going to have to encounter or situations. You're just you. And so for me, like always being a person who kind of liked to be alone, going in a place like that at first wasn't so bad, right? Because it was like a way to like a moment of peace. But eventually, after a long period of time, it's like you start to have these thoughts and you start to have all these things that you've been kind of compartmentalizing and not thinking about start surfacing. And that's when it can get really like just depressing and really painful, and you feel suffocated in a way because you can't do anything about it but live with it. You can't go make amends. You can't go say I'm sorry. You can't go do the things that
You
maybe
can't distract yourself.
yeah, you can't really do anything. And so it's a battle. And for me, being in there, it definitely like broke me down to build me up. And I could have got broke and stayed there like many do. But so many things happen. This way bigger than me. It's beyond me. It's God that helped me to get through that and be who I am today. Is me alone as a man or any human being by themselves couldn't do it. It's something spiritual that helps you get through something like that. And so when people, when they tell me they don't believe in God or they tell me they don't believe in, something, a higher power, right? God doesn't necessarily mean a religion is tied to that. It's a higher power. People that say that, I say, well, go to go to
So,
isolation, go to solitary
yeah.
confinement for a while,
Yeah.
and the only way you're going to really be able to make it through it is if you believe something greater than yourself.
Yeah. That's deep. Can you share a moment where loneliness felt unbearable and how you found a way through it?
Hmm. Yeah, you know, I want to say it wasn't even prison. The prison was hard. 3 years in
Of course.
solitary was hard, and but there was a time I remember when I was in the county jail, and I had went to isolation for a little bit of time. It was like 30 days. I got into like a fight, and they put you in isolation for 30 days, um, and then this particular isolation, they would put you in a straitjacket, basically. It's like a
Wow.
straitjacket where you can't move your hands or whatever, and then you're like put in this cell, and the lights are just extremely bright, and there's somebody that just sits outside of the cell that like observes you 24 hours a day. And that was at some different level of mental torture, I would say, because you really can't cover your eyes, because your hands are bound. So you have to like position your body to where it's away from the light, but it still affects you. So you can't really get good sleep. And then you constant noise of people and the person outside of the door constantly tapping on the door to make sure that you don't really get a good night's sleep. Or um, and they put you there, if they think that you're going to be violent to yourself and others, and there's really no buddy there to determine if that's legit or not. It's just what they feel, and so they could put you there just to punish you. And so I remember going through that, which was very difficult. And at the time, I had developed, because I was in county jail, I had developed staph infection, and so like I was dealing with extreme pain of like,
Wow.
yeah, like it was like all over my body. And I remember they would come in, and the medical people would come in, and they would have to like um, go in there and like pack it with stuff because there was holes that were like from the staph infection. So I was dealing with that pain along with the mental torture at the same time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and having, facing like, spending the rest of my life in prison, not getting out and fresh in. That was hard. That
Yeah.
that was a difficult time for me. But then again, it's like me calling to God, like to help me, to give me strength, to just help me get through it. That just those words, and then just thinking maybe He would hear me, help
Yeah.
me get through that. And so, as difficult as it was, like I said, if you have a higher power, if something you believe in, um, it's like you get this extra strength that
Mm-hmm.
comes from some, I don't know where it comes from, but it's like you feel almost protected and shielded in many ways. And so yeah, that was that was a tough situation.
We live in a time of hyper connection, social media, constant notifications, etc. Yet people feel lonelier than ever. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's because you know so many people nowadays like just communicate through like online, and they meet people on dating sites, and they meet friends on social media, or they're in Instagram and they're going messaging people, and you know it's like that's good to a certain extent. I've met some amazing people doing that,
Yeah.
but that's you can't limit yourself to that. You have to get out there and actually interact with people in society. You can't just sit on your couch and expect to meet really valuable people in your life just by going online, scrolling and swiping left and right. You need to get out there and actually bring energy into the world and attract the people that you're meant to attract. Like go volunteer, go do something that calls to your heart, and then you'll find people that align with what you want to do, and then that's when you start to foster those like really powerful relationships. So people don't do that anymore. So people are feeling lonely because they don't have that connection. They don't
Yeah.
have that authentic connection with somebody. They may have some friends online, but that's not real. Like it's like
Yeah.
that's not a true connection.
Yeah.
So people are still feeling lonely in that situation, and
Yeah.
then people are comparing themselves too much to others. They're looking at all this stuff happening on social media, and 50% of it is fake, and they're comparing that life to theirs, and then they're making them, and they're hard on themselves because they're not there in life, or they don't have that relationship in life, or they don't, they're not that confident, or whatever it is that they're observing, and it just brings them deeper and deeper and deeper into this isolation of unworthiness, like they can't be anything but what they are. And so the biggest thing you can do, and what I did, is when I walked out of prison, it was a gift. It was a blessing that I wasn't familiar with technology and social media, because it forced me to get out there and use my communication skills and to meet people in person and develop that as I was learning social media and technology. And along the journey, I saw the difference in the two, and the power in one and the power of other in the other. And then once you realize like that, then you know that the best connections you're going to make with people are the ones that you make in person.
Yeah.
I don't give a care what you're on, what site you're on, what they say, all that, the analytics of like matching you with the perfect person. Yeah, that's like playing the lotto, right?
Yeah.
It's like you take control of your life and get out there and actually meet somebody, and stop sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself because you're alone, but just go out there and do it. And that's an internal battle you have to get through to push through. But if you, that's the only way, right? It's the only way.
But it's not only that, when you go out and you put yourself out there, be present, right? Because I see a lot of people just scrolling through their phone on
Hmm.
social media while
Yeah.
they're out, and it kind of defeats the purpose. So,
Hmm.
the whole element of presence, I think.
Yeah.
Do you believe loneliness has become one of the hidden epidemics of our generation?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know the stats, I don't know the statistics, but I definitely know that people these days are more lonely, just from talking to people, and just my understanding of the world, which I try to keep up with all the time, like where the world is going through, where are the problems in the world, what's happening. Um, and yeah, so many people are lonely, and it's only going to get worse, with as technology and innovation comes in, it starts to take over more like human interaction stuff, starts to intersect with that. So it's only going to get more difficult. But yeah, I think it is an epidemic. And, um, it's like most things, you never know how it's going to end up turning out. Something that may seem like really bad in the beginning could ultimately be something great later. Human beings have this amazing ability to adapt and to, be able to have and be resilient, but not everybody, but there are. And I think those people that are will be the ones that ultimately, you know, are living the greatest lives on this planet, and there'll be a lot of people suffering. But that's always been like that, right? It's always been that way. And um, but yeah, I think that in terms of people out there that may be, listening to this, or, they feeling like a sense of loneliness, they want to find somebody, they want to, have friends, they want to do something with their life. My first recommendation would be like, stop worrying about other people and just worry about yourself and work on yourself. Because if you don't work on yourself, you're not going to even have the confidence to even be able to receive anybody else properly.
Yeah.
So do the personal development, do the personal work. And that could be done in multiple different ways, from reading to like listening to different podcasts and getting different advice and then testing it out, going, to school, whatever it is, like to just get the help, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the skills to get to a point where like meeting people becomes easy for you. It's easy for me to meet people. I can literally talk and meet anybody if I
Yeah.
really wanted to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just like I'm born with that. I
Yeah.
wasn't born with that. I didn't have any of that before. I developed that. So, but it started with me working on me. And so if you can't expect anybody else to come make you do anything, you have to do it.
Yeah. And then you start attracting the right people, I think, once you
Yeah.
develop yourself. Yeah. How can loneliness actually serve as a doorway to self-discovery if we don't run from it?
Yeah, like in my book, I talk about the art of isolation, the art of solitary growth. Like if once you get to a level where you're able to be in control of your mindset, then you actually want time to be alone. You do want to be in solitude, because that's where some of your greatest thinking will come from, some of your greatest growth and your greatest reflections. And your greatest way to process information, things you're learning, is when you're alone. People study alone. It's proven.
Yeah.
But it has to be done with the intention, and also in a healthy manner, and not all day every day, right? You have to have a mix of both. And so yeah, you can, once you get to that point where you're in control of your mindset, then you have these acts of these moments of solitary that you create. Then you use that time to just really focus in on something and learn and grow and develop from it. And maybe it's just thinking about your life and where you want to go, and writing it down and creating a vision board, or reading a book that's really inspirational, or that's game changing for you, and you're alone. Those moments are going to be like the markers for your future. And so um, yeah, being alone could be a great thing if you're doing the right thing within that time.
Right. How do you think AI is going to impact this whole loneliness epidemic? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, some people, they're going to be alone, and they might be at home, and they have like an AI robot, right? That's there to talk to them, and it knows them. So it like could help them and give them advice, or whatever, say the thing it needs to say to make them smile. There's going to be stuff like that, companions that are going to be amongst us that aren't human. And so that's it could be a good thing and a bad thing. Like I would say, for me, I understand the importance of, like I mentioned, human connection. Like, if you even break it down to like a scientific level, like we're all energy. And so like there's just, there's objects and all that, but at the end of it, at our core, we're all energy, we're flowing, and we're all interconnected. It's like, with a robot, it's just going to be, you're not going to be able to have that connection,
Yeah.
that feeling, that it's not going to be like real love or real friendship. It'll be something else that could have benefits to it, right? It could, but also I think it's important that we have real human beings in our life. So AI will definitely come, like, and like I say, it's a tool. It's to help us to become better and more efficient, and to operate on a higher level. But we still got to have human connections. So I think that, like anything in life, some people will take it and it'll destroy their lives, and it'll ruin them, and some will use it and become better and enhance their lives. And I think the deeper question is like, what is the determining factor of who those people are? Like,
Yeah.
who's the one? Like that's where the work needs to be done, is in understanding who you are and how you operate, right? And then being in control of the decisions you make, and not letting something like AI consume you, right? It's like somebody nowadays who are addicted to their phone. they've allowed their phone to become that to them. So now they're addicted to it, and the phone kind of controls them in a sense.
Mhm.
It's like an addict. And then you have people who are very disciplined, who use the phone to do what they got to do, but yet they know how to put it down and get focused on other things. Same thing with with AI. It's the same situation. It just, you know, we're not all built the same, and so in a sense, it'll be like it's going to be the people that allow AI to kind of hinder them that are going to suffer, and the ones that don't are going to advance in life. And so my thing is, if you're a person who doesn't want to be, kept down and hindered by AI, again, you got to work on yourself and figure out what's wrong with you and how to get through that, how to heal,
Yeah.
how to deal with all the traumas of whatever you're dealing with that create that person within you to have that addicted personality or that feeling of needing that and not being more than what you are.
Steps can people take when they feel stuck in loneliness?
Hmm. Well, go volunteer for one. Um,
That's how we met.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met, volunteering. And volunteering is free, right? It doesn't really cost you anything, besides you just getting out there and going and helping, helping people. When you do that, you'll find other people there that are helping people, and then you already have something in common. And who knows what can come from that. So get out there and volunteer. Uh, you know, the time that you're alone, if you have a goal to, like, let's say you moved. I know a guy who came out here from another state, didn't know anybody. He doesn't know many people to this. He hasn't been out here that long, and so he came to me. He said, "Man, I just moved out here. You know of any men's groups?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I took him to my men's group, and now he goes there and he goes on his own. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right? Ask. Right? You can meet somebody and say, "Hey, I'm trying to get to know people more." You know what I mean? Like all these things. Like it's so easy. And then because it's not even that's not even the issue. People know how to meet people, I think. Most people. And if you don't, okay, then you're one click away from finding out how. It's all out there. The problem is that people don't have the confidence, right? People don't have the motivation. People don't have the belief in themselves to actually take the step. So
Right.
it's not about like how, it's about who you need to become to get to the how.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like at a state where you're alone, like I said, so use that alone time to work on yourself, to develop yourself, to become more confident in yourself. And then it'll be a lot easier to meet people. So if you're not that type of person yet, and you're very shy, or if you're not confident, or if you're insecure, or have resentment and all these things, then it's a lot more difficult to meet people, and especially to keep people. You may meet them, but after a while, they're not going to want to be around you anymore because you're gonna be negative, and you're gonna be miserable, and you're gonna be unhappy, and you're gonna have nothing to say at all. You're just gonna be there. So if you work on yourself and you educate yourself and you develop yourself and you become more confident, which requires that you work on yourself physically and mentally, right? That's a part of working on yourself. Then having people will come.
Where are places you can go? Like, especially if you're not in school anymore and work is very limited, like it was for me.
Mhm.
What are some like useful places that you found that are easier to meet people?
Yeah, so I'll say this: in prison, that's a different life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But when I got out, didn't really know anybody, few people, um, and some of the people I knew, I didn't even want to know them anymore. Like they weren't on where I was trying to go in life. Church, for one. Church is the place I went to where I first started to meet some of the people that helped me to get to where I'm at today. The foundational people that saw something in me, wanted to help me, and did. So church, and you can go to church, and there's so many different groups within the church, right? Or any religious belief. It doesn't have to be
Organization,
church
yeah.
or any religious organization. Um,
Or spiritual
yeah, or
organization.
spiritual. Like, we meet
Yeah.
people all the time that are having like yoga classes,
Mhm.
spiritual this, spiritual that.
Breath work.
So
Yeah.
most of it's free.
Yeah.
Events, So another thing is position yourself in a place where people are doing things like that. When I got out of prison, I didn't move to the desert and isolate myself. And then I'm like sitting there like, why don't I know anybody? No, I intentionally said, okay, I'm going to put myself somewhere where people are at.
That's so
The city,
important.
right? I'm going to
Yeah.
put myself where people are doing things. And a byproduct of that is you'll meet people and you'll learn about events and things going on. So that is like where you position yourself, but also religion and then school, like education. When I got out, I pursued that. I continued to pursue my education. I knew within education, I would not only educate myself, which is what I needed to excel in my career, my confidence, my ability to communicate everything, but then also I'll meet people. I'll meet great mentors. I'll meet friends. So those are like easy ways that anybody, no matter where you come from, can do.
Do you think love, whether self love or connection with others, is the ultimate antidote to loneliness?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And in looking at it deeper is like when I say love, um, I mean, I love my friends, I love my family, it's like, I love my partner, it's like I love people, right, as a whole. But I love, and I'm looking for the right word, is the capability of people, right, that they don't even see in themselves yet. So I love to meet somebody and I see something in them that they don't see, and I help them to develop that in some way or find that or even just explain it to them what I see. I love that too. And when you're in a state when you don't have, like, let's say a person you love, like a significant other or family or friends, you can look at people out there in the world and you can actively look at that person as like, man, that's a human being. Um, and that's a human being with a family, with their own struggles, with their own issues that like you may have too. And there's like some something about it is like just us all being here on this planet together. Like there's something there that you can find some sense of love in that person. You know what I mean? Like, and,
Yeah.
and I don't know like if everybody's ready to get there, but for me, when I walked out of prison, I saw that in people. Like I already felt that in people, and it allowed me to connect easier with people because I saw so much in them and they saw it in me, and then you develop great friendships. And so um, yeah, I think love is so powerful that it can get you through the most difficult times. It can get you through loneliness. It can get you through uh, the worst times you're going through. Love can help you get through that for sure.
So, in a way, showing love to others.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, let's close this out. If someone listening right now feels completely alone, what would you want to say to them for your own journey?
Yeah, I would say that you're not the only one. Many people out there are alone and feeling lonely. So first, get that out of your head that you're the only one going through this. So many people go through it, from all different walks of life, different nationalities, all over the world. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, man, you only have one life. You only have one life, and it's very limited. And it's like, ask yourself every day, like, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to continue to be lonely? And if the answer is no, then it's the second question is, okay, well, what am I going to do about it? Okay, and then after you figure that out, then you're like, all right, well, what's my first step? So a lot of times it's just breaking things down and asking those really profound and important questions to yourself. It's like if you're teaching somebody else that you truly care about, but do it for yourself and start to implement on that. And so there's not really one right way to go about it, but I know for sure within myself, what I learned was that it took for me to make a hard decision of what I wanted my life to be like and who I wanted to become, and sticking to that and developing the discipline to not fall off of that path. And so it's hard, it's difficult, but the good thing is there's many people in this world that will help you and support you. There's many things you can listen to help you get through tough times. And so you have to really want it. Like anything else in life, it takes work. So don't give up, but remember that you're not the only one, and you don't have to stay in that state. You don't have to be that way. You can change.
Well, thank you, Carlos, for that powerful conversation.
I just wanted to say thank you for listening all the way to the end of the episode. I wanted to just give a quick shout out to the sponsors for this podcast in terms of like them allowing us to use their space at Legendary Foods at the Legendary Studios. Want to give a shout out to them for that. They're amazing product. Also, want to say that if you're interested in a free PDF version of my book Warrior in the Garden: 7 Rules for Men, there'll be a link in the description that you can click to get that, as well as to sign up for our weekly newsletter. And I'm always giving new advice and new guidance to help you get through life's challenges, and always keeping you up to date on the new things that we're doing, how to battle, and my company. And so I just want to say thank you for being here and listening. And please remember to subscribe.